Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the February 13th, 2024 School Board meeting in Manatee County. I want to open up the meeting by reading the district's vision. The school district of Manatee County will be an exemplary, student-focused school system that develops lifelong learners to be globally competitive. Next, I want to bring up for our invocation, Ms. Logan Harrington. She is a staff member with Manatee County Young Life. So if you all stand and join us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the gift of education and the privilege to educate the children in this community. God, I pray that you would be with every teacher, every administrator, every school board member, and every school district employee as they serve the students of Manatee County. Lord, I lift up this time to you. Would you provide the board with wisdom, and would you guide them in their decision-making today? It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, that brings us to the approval of the agenda. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on the February 13th, 2024 agenda, updated February 12th, 2024, and posted to the district website, manateeschools.net. Had some personnel stuff that we added. Typically don't like that on the last, before Monday, but I know the board members were all told of that. So if we could have a approval for the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. No amendments needed from any of the board members. We go ahead and vote on the approval of the agenda when we see it on Granicus. Cindy, you want to, Ms. Bray, you want to hit? It's not up.
It's not allowing me to.
You want to vote manually?
That's fine.
All those in favor of the approval of the agenda, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Carries 4-0.
There we go.
Can we get a vote from Ms. Foreman? Do we don't need it. I mean, she's on. She's in it.
Let me put your stamp on this. So you have
I vote yes.
Okay. Okay, item number 6, approval of the minutes. Superintendent Weissong.
Good morning, Chair Choate, board members.
Good morning.
I recommend approval of the minutes from the school board workshop dated January 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Don't see any board members needing to correct any minutes, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the minutes from January 23rd school board workshop.
So I'll make sure that the links. Yes.
And passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Foreman. Brings us to item number 7, Mr. Barber, with the recognitions. We have a couple today, so come on down.
Okay. We're going to start off actually with the Black History Month proclamation, and I believe Mr. Tatum is going to read that.
Proclamation. Whereas the month of February is set aside each year to honor, celebrate, and remember the vital and significant contributions that Black Americans have made to American history and to the richness of American culture, and whereas in the words of the Black English professor Shelby Steele, since 1965 to our time, American society has made one of the most incredible moral evolutions in all of human history to ensure freedom, opportunity, and equal rights for Black Americans, and whereas Black Americans have made important and vibrant contributions to the history and to the culture of the state of Florida and of Manatee County, and Whereas black educators have played a prominent role in the history of education in Manatee County, serving in every capacity from bus driver to teacher to principal to superintendent to school board chair, and whereas we are dedicated to teaching and commemorating the vital and significant contributions of black Americans to American history and to the richness of American culture, now therefore be it proclaimed by the School Board of Manatee County that the month of February 2024 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Black History Month in Manatee District Schools. Adopted with a quorum present, this 13th day of February 2024, School Board of Manatee County, Florida. Chad Choate III, Chair.
Thank you very much. We have a very special recognition. If we could get the slideshow on the monitors. We have, in the proclamation, it talked about the contribution that black Americans have made to education in Manatee County. And they have a rich history of contributions, and so many people and that continue to this day. We have a very special one. We have actually 7 schools named after black educators or prominent black citizens in Manatee County, but 7 of our schools are named in their honor, and one of them is Annie Lucy Williams. So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about her today, and then I'll introduce the guests that are here to be with us. Annie Lucy Williams was born in Lake City, Florida on January 16, 1908, the daughter of Reverend and Mrs. James Combs. She was the 10th of 12 children, 6 boys and 6 girls. And if you look at this photo, my understanding is she's the 3rd from the left.
Yes.
Okay. So she was the 10th of 12 children. Her father was a minister, teacher, and undertaker. Her mother, Azalee, was a homemaker. Annie received a junior college degree from Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona, and this is a younger photo of Annie. So she received a junior college degree from Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach, and then she received this degree, a Bachelor of Science degree, from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical College. You notice that at that point it had not become Florida A&M University. It was Florida Agricultural and Mechanical College in Tallahassee, and again, before it became Florida A&M or FAMU. In 1930, she moved to Manatee County, became a teacher in the school district. She also married John Calvin Williams, and together they had 3 children, John Cena, Deborah, and John Wesley. There's a photo of them. Those are the younger years, right? Okay. And then this is a photo grown up. From 1930 to 1975, more than 45 years, Miss Williams taught in Manatee County at schools including Lincoln High in Bradenton, Bradenton Elementary, and Lincoln Memorial High in Palmetto. She was a very active and athletic person and seemingly a natural leader. Her daughter Deborah wrote that she was told her mother coached football during World War II while the male coaches were away at war. She also taught swimming in the summers and served as an assistant director of what is now the 13th Avenue Community Center for 20 years. And you can see she also was involved in other endeavors and was actually a princess, and I don't exactly know.
Order of Eastern Star.
The Order
of Eastern Star.
The Order of Eastern Star.
Yes.
Right. So as you can see, she dressed up pretty well. So also, Miss Williams and her family were also very active in the St. Paul Baptist Church in Bradenton, where she sang in the choir and served as financial secretary. Miss Williams passed away in October 1985. In August 2007, Annie Lucy Williams Elementary School opened its doors to students at 3404 Fort Hamer Road in Parrish. The school was named in Miss Williams' honor for her unyielding devotion to educating students and for her tireless service to the community at large. Williams Elementary is a two-story brick and block building that is now home to approximately 856 students and 110 staff members. The principal is Andrea Keyser, and Andrea's right here, and the assistant principal is Rachel Blanchard. There are also several members that you'll meet presently who have been at the school since it first opened its doors in 2007. But the school proudly bears her name and honors her life and legacy on a daily basis, and there's a display case filled with photos and mementos of her life that sits just inside the front doors of the school. So with that, I really have the pleasure, I'd like to introduce the daughters of Annie Lucy Williams. We have Johnsina McCrae, and we also have Deborah Thomas. So.
I just want to say on behalf of our family, this is a bright light and a year that was devastating for our families. But this is a bright spot for us. So we want to thank you for this honor. And this is my sister Deborah, my nephew Keith, my grandson Cullen McRae, and my grandson Parker Houston. Keith is a product of Manatee Schools. So would you like to?
Everyone here is a product of Manatee Schools.
Well, except the one on the
Except the one,
That's Hillsborough County.
Hillsborough County. But everyone here is a product of Manatee Schools. And I wanted to say thank you for honoring my grandmother. Unfortunately, my father passed away many years ago. Well, he would have been here as well. We were all educated here in Manatee County. I went to Lincoln Elementary for kindergarten, Ballard Elementary for first grade, Moody Elementary for 2nd to 4th, Palmasola Elementary for 5th, King Middle for 6th to 8th, Manatee High School, and then University of Florida twice. Okay? So when you think about the power of education that can happen here in Manatee County, I don't want you to forget that legacy. Because my grandmother was the kind of person who, after she was finished teaching kids all day in school, she would take their parents in at night and teach them how to read too. Because literacy was not always a given. And she understood that that's the power that you give to people. It's the power to learn and the power to understand your world in your own way. So thank you again for the honor that you're giving her by naming the school, and thank you for the recognition here today. Thank you.
Was there a particular reason they kept moving you from school to school?
Mostly because,
Yeah.
I would, when you're a little brighter than the other kids,
Oh, okay.
you need to do something.
Okay, I understand. Okay. And now representing the school, Principal Andrea Keyser.
My goodness, it's such a pleasure to be here today and to be here with all of you who are coming from Annie Lucy Williams. We're coming from her in a very different direction, but with the same mission. We're here to serve our community, our children, and to hopefully leave a lifelong passion for learning. So thank you for being here today and allowing us to be here aboard to celebrate Annie Lucy Williams. We appreciate it. I want to introduce you to some lifelong wolves. I have some staff members who started at Williams when it opened back in 2007. I have Miss Rose Chandler, who serves as a paraprofessional in our ESC unit here at Williams. And I have Allison Cooper. She's an original wolf, and she is our senior secretary. And Miss Debbie Hampton, who is our registrar at Williams. So they started in 2007 when the school began. So we're really grateful that they're still there. We have many more staff members who have been dedicated to that community and serving that community. So thank you all for what you do.
How's the tree doing?
The tree?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay, we would like to get a picture of y'all with the school board in the background before you go. So if I could get the two sisters right here in the middle, and then family members on each side. John Cena, if you could right there, remember? And then if
All right, we will, great recognition, and thank you to all the family members that came for Miss Williams, and what a great legacy she had, for sure. I love the original wolves, too. I love that thing, original wolves. Brings us to item number 8 on the agenda, which is public comment. General public comment will begin with Miss Celine Charleston and then Michael Hartman.
Didn't we have another recognition?
Nope, we did both.
We did them both, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm off. Go ahead.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Celine Charleston. I'm a former teacher in the district as well as a parent of 2 middle school daughters at Braden River. As a former teacher with over 2 decades of experience in education, I stand before you today with a heartfelt concern that affects not just my own family, but countless others in our county. It's an issue that, while not assigning blame to any individual or entity, demands our collective attention and action, the transportation challenges plaguing our community. Every day when my children board the bus, they embark on a journey not just towards education, but towards their future. Yet despite the best efforts of all involved, they consistently arrive at school 20 minutes behind schedule. To some, this might seem like a minor inconvenience, a mere blip in their daily routine. However, when you break it down, that seemingly insignificant 20 minutes accumulates into something far more significant. Consider this: 20 minutes a day equates to 100 minutes lost each week. Over the span of a month, that translates to a staggering 400 minutes of educational time. Over 6 hours of precious time squandered solely due to transportation delays. Multiply that over the course of a semester, and you're looking at 30 hours, an entire week's worth of instructional time gone. Extend it further, and that amounts to a staggering 60 hours lost over the course of a school year. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent missed opportunities for learning, growth, and development. They represent the potential for our children to fall behind, to struggle academically, and to lose out on the experiences that shape their future. Let me be clear, I do not stand here to point fingers or to assign blame. I recognize the complexities and challenges inherent in managing transportation systems, particularly in a county as diverse and as sprawling as ours. Instead, I stand before you to implore us all as parents, educators, administrators, and members of the school board to come together and find a solution. We owe it to our children, our future leaders, to ensure that they have every opportunity to succeed. We owe it to ourselves as a community to address the issue with the urgency and attention it deserves. Whether it's through increased funding, improved infrastructure, or innovative solutions, we must commit ourselves to finding a remedy. I urge you to all join me in this endeavor. Let's work together to ensure that every child in our county has access to reliable and efficient transportation, so that they may arrive at school on time, ready to learn and equipped to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Hartman, followed by Deanna Brinkley.
Good morning. For the record, Michael Hartman. Psalm 139 says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, O Lord, and my soul knows right well. Thine eyes did see me, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, when as yet there was none of them. Bookends, books, and bookmark. The first bookend is when we were born. Each one of us has got a different bookend. And the books are the days and the weeks and the months and the years of our lives that have already been written. The bookmark is where we're at today. I saw this statement recently, and it just kind of been floating around in my mind. It said, read all banned books. And I think about that statement. Is it appealing to adults? Is it appealing to anyone or everybody? And what does that mean, all books? Read all books. If you think about the countries that have something in common, Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Yemen, China, Cuba, to name a few of the 52 countries that are listed, Joshua 1 says, "The Lord said unto Joshua, This book of the law, the Bible, shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate in it every day, that you may observe to do according to all that's written therein. Then you will make your way prosperous and you'll have good success." The common book they ban is the Bible, basic instruction before leaving earth. So when you say read all banned books, does that mean that you want people to read the Bible? Or is it no, it's just the books that you want people to read that follow your doctrine or whatever you want? The phrase, the book of life, is written 8 times in the Bible. Solomon said, "And further by these be admonished, of making many books there is no end. But let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it would be evil." And the second bookend is the day that we leave this earth. And when you jump out of a plane, you don't think about packing your parachute on the way down. You pack it while you're on the ground. So I would encourage everybody, read your Bible and pray. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna Brinkley?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to correct some of the inaccuracies that have been made from past meetings and public commenters about the inappropriate books that have been objected to or removed from the school libraries. We have pornography laws such as 847012. Any book that contains explicit or detailed verbal descriptions or narrative accounts of sexual excitement or sexual conduct is harmful to minors. Harmful to minors means any description depicting nudity, sexual conduct, or sexual excitement. A person may not knowingly loan to a minor any book with any explicit and detailed verbal description or narrative accounts of sexual excitement or sexual conduct that is harmful to minors. Any instructional material containing pornography or otherwise prohibited may not be used or made available within any public school. HB 1069 clearly defines the role of the school board and provides the requirements for instruction regarding human sexuality. It also provides a specific objection form, processes, requirements for materials used in classrooms and libraries. Parents have the right to read passages from specified materials, also requiring the discontinuation of those materials, and everyone is adhering to these laws. This is not about banning books, but removing inappropriate or, according to the state law, pornographic materials. Over 600 books were submitted by law to the state last year and have been removed from school libraries due to inappropriate content. But yet we are being told that the worst of the books have been removed and there was only a small percentage of them. Weekly, there were more books being uncovered that are not adhering to state laws. So these are inaccurate statements. There are concerns mentioned that only the same few are submitting objections and that they may not even have kids in the schools. There are pornographic laws that prohibit certain content to be in the school books available to children. This does not matter who is uncovering the laws that are being broken. Comments are also being made that persons objecting are not reading the books. During the original purchase of these inappropriate materials by media specialists, did they read every book? Are they reading every book now that they are purchasing? This is not a requirement from the state statute. Librarians look at websites, reviews, and opinions about a purchase. The objectors are doing the same, reading reviews, summary comments, and collaborating with parents who have read books along with other reliable sources. Last meeting, many came to read passages out of the books, but conveniently left out the inappropriately sexually graphic parts. Books were used as examples that were never even in Manatee County libraries, school libraries. Another commenter spoke about their life being a transgender and did not need a book to determine that. We are not talking about someone's ideology about themselves. We are talking about sexually graphic, erotic content that breaks the laws. There is an ideology that the talking points that these stories mimic real life. Children can relate and need to know because it exists out in the world. But many of these books are committing crimes. Nowhere in these teaching literature does it address the fact that these laws are being broken.
Thank you for all the public comment. Today that concludes the public comment. We're moving to item number 9 of reports and presentations. First one up is Mr. Jensen with the Social Studies Instruction Materials Adoption.
Good morning, Chair Choate, Board
Good morning.
Superintendent Wysong. As you know, in fall, we began in accordance with the DOE adoption schedule, we began the process of convening committees to evaluate instructional materials that were on the state adoption list for social studies, with the intent of making selection and recommendation to the school board for adoption. This presentation and today's board item under new business is the culmination of that process that was led extremely effectively by Ms. Fleming and Ms. Nichols in our curriculum department. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Ms. Fleming, who will walk you through the process and the materials and next steps.
Good morning, Chair Choate, members of the board, Superintendent Wysong. As Mr. Jensen said, today I'm here to review the final recommendations for our K-12 social studies instructional materials adoption. I'm going to ask that you please hold comments until the end of the presentation. So I'd like to start with reviewing the process that led us here today. Each of our final publishers were reviewed by the State Board of Education before selection by our district. Publishers presented print and digital materials that our district instructional materials adoption committee evaluated. And as a reminder, those adoption committees included administrators, teachers, instructional specialists, parents, and community members. The materials are and were available for in-person view at the Professional Support Center, and they were also digitally available on our website. Additionally, principals and instructional employees all had the opportunity to review physical and digital materials and complete a survey identifying their top choice. So all of that information and our selection process led us here today to our final recommendations. So in the next 3 slides, I'm just going to provide a summary of the discussions that were made by the committee and the highlights for each of our final recommendations. And so we're going to start with the selection for K-5 social studies, which was Gallup-aid curriculum. So the instructional staff really valued the consumable student books, which provide each student their own workbook that they're able to annotate and mark up the text, and also complete activities in those consumable books. Another strong feature was the online platform that provides many additional opportunities to engage students in the content. In this next bullet was the real sell for our teachers. There's a strong focus on academic vocabulary, writing across content areas, map skills, primary source analysis, and research skills, built directly into the curriculum with many supporting resources for those, which we know being K-5, that's really where the foundation of these skills starts to carry them through middle and high school. And then finally, which you'll see on all 3 publisher slides, the resources are aligned to Florida standards for social studies, and they also support integration of our ELA, or English Language Arts, best standards, as well as our math best standards. All right, so next we're going to look at the first of our 2 secondary publisher selections. National Geographic was selected for civics, world history, and U.S. history in middle school. And then in high school, they were selected for world history, U.S. history, and government. There was a lot of committee discussion around the strong teacher supports, including the ease of access to the resources. It's not a secret that we have a lot of career changers entering the education field. We also have substitutes in our classrooms. The committee really felt like National Geographic had a lot of strong teacher supports, easy to follow lesson plans, formatting, that could be used for individuals that may not have an education background. Also, again, their digital features, which has many expert-created resources, really felt strongly that those resources were ready to use, didn't require a lot of editing or modifications. Of course, we always review the content, but here there was a strong emphasis on academic vocabulary with National Geographic. And also, of course, as you would expect with National Geographic, they have very high quality images. They also have very engaging stories and activities that engage the learners in the content. There's also a variety of activities that foster student collaboration and discussion-based learning. which are also transferable skills outside of just the social studies classroom. And then, of course, our learning management system, which is Schoology. It's important to our staff that we integrate with Schoology, and National Geographic was able to provide that. All right, so we're going to move into our third publisher, which is Teachers Curriculum Institute, or TCI. TCI was recommended as the finalist for economics. Many of the same or similar highlights here for TCI: the strong teacher supports, the robust digital components, the ease of differentiation and accommodation, engagement. They feel like there's a lot of engaging resources, and the integration with Schoology. So I know there are some highlights that are not included on this slide that were included on the previous slide, and I just want to remind everyone that there were actually only 2 options for economics on the state adoption list. And so I know that there's a question about, how come we have everything National Geographic and then kind of a one-off with economics. National Geographic did not have an economics textbook in the running. All right, and finally, just want to review next steps in the process. So once the final recommendations were made, they were published on our district website, and they remain there. With item approval today, there would be a 30-day objection filing period, which would be followed by an objection process if needed. And that would bring us to March 15th being the earliest a purchase could be made. And of course, we would like to procure the materials as soon as possible so that we can ensure a smooth implementation. So that concludes my portion of the presentation. I'll open it to questions or comments.
Yep, I have Mr. Chatham and then Ms. Messer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was informative. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are you knowledgeable about the process that is used to make the standards, like with the state school board? Are you knowledgeable about? You could explain that a little bit, and if not, that's fine. I'm just curious about, how the standards are created for the state. Are you? If not, that's fine.
Well, so there are standards committees that convene at the state level, and they usually have representatives from district schools on those committees. I believe they also include the same, they have to have parents, they have to have community members, and they convene at the state level. And then those are brought to the State Board of Education for approval.
Right, and then the State Board of Education transmits them to DOE, and then DOE makes the standards, and then the companies go out and look at the standards, and they write the curriculums according. I just wanted the public to understand how that process is done. It's not really like the legislature that sets it. It's actually, as you said, it's a committee of people around the state with different stakeholders. Then there's actually this thing called the School Board of the State of Florida, and they actually are the ones who approve the standards. They transmit them to DOE. Then they're translated into a long list of standards, and then the curriculum companies use those standards to write the curriculum. So thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's the only question I have. Thank you.
Thanks. We had someone from our district recently, I think, on one of the committees.
We do, anytime there's an opportunity, we try to identify, at least one person from our district to represent our district on those committees. But we do have, there's a lot of committees that convene at the state level, and we try to send somebody. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I think it was also open for a public comment period too when they made the new standards. I think there was a public comment period where anyone could submit commentary on the new standards before they were approved. My question was about when you advertised it for public review, what kind of comments have you gotten, or have you gotten any?
We have not received any public comments throughout the entire process. So we opened, when we initiated the adoption for social studies, we provided a link on our district website that allowed any public comment. And of course, the committee meetings were also held in the sunshine, so there was an opportunity for public comment there, and we have received none to this point.
Okay. And I just wanted to thank you. I was able to go to this meeting, the final one where the Gallopade was chosen, and I really did appreciate and find it was very informative for me to better understand the process. So I really want to appreciate you and your whole team, because I know you guys all work really hard to make this happen, and so I really appreciate you guys for doing this and for making it such a streamlined process. So
We have a wonderful team. Yes, thank you.
I just have a quick question on the Schoology. So the integration into Schoology, what does that look like? Is it just, and how is it different from what they have now? Is it just easier to download things for the students to be able to download pieces, and what does that look like that's different than what maybe we have now?
I don't necessarily know that it's different. It's just that we look for resources that will integrate with what we use, because our teachers, especially in the secondary world, really rely on Schoology. And so it allows easier access, so students can go right into Schoology, into the social studies, and click on their textbook. Their textbook will come up for them digitally. The teachers can also download the content, they can create lessons, and they can push them out to students, and activities, they can push them out to the students. Students could potentially complete that assignment there in Schoology, and then it comes back to the teacher for grading.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for everything you and your staff did. And I know it's been a long process, and I know it was quick, but thank you very much. Appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next report presentation, Mr. Rinaldi with the Parish Community High School construction update.
Good morning, Chairman Choate, board members, Dr. Wysong. We're going to review the Parish Community High School Classroom Edition. When Parish Community High was constructed in 2019, it started with an initial enrollment of 2,100 students, a little over 2,100 student capacity. But we master planned for 2,500. And the ability to add an additional classroom of 400 students, and that's what we're doing today. Item number 18 on the consent agenda is the guaranteed maximum price, and the team's been working on this for a little bit over 8 months, so we're really happy we're going to be able to break ground and get moving, and looking forward to another ribbon cutting and groundbreaking shortly. I'm going to turn it over to David Wiles, who's going to give an oversight of the project and introduce you to the team.
Good morning. I'm Dave Wiles. I'm with the Construction Services Department exactly a year as of today. So I appreciate the opportunity to present. I'm going to turn it over to our excellent project team, which includes Aaron Jacobson with Schinkel Schultz Architects and Jason Cruz with Williams Company. Gentlemen.
Good morning. I'm Aaron Jacobson. I'm Associate Principal at Schinkel Schultz. Excited to be a part of this project and present it to you today. As Mr. Rinaldi already kind of alluded to, this project started off in 2019, 2,100 student stations. And this project's going to take it to the 2,500 capacity that it was originally master planned for. So the building itself is comprised of 16 classrooms, a couple of resource rooms, teacher break area, the standard mechanical, electrical, and IT rooms, and some group restrooms as well as circulation corridors and some walkways that lead up to the building. Hit the wrong button here. My apologies. The image you're seeing in front of you is an aerial of the site itself. You have all the buildings that were built kind of shown in gray boxes there. And in the upper right-hand corner, you can see kind of an outline of what that 25,000 square foot building was. The building pad was originally master planned. All the utilities are stubbed and capped into that area. And the idea behind it was to minimize the disruption of the students when they're on an active campus once the growth occurred, which obviously has now taken place here in Parish, or in Parish. So the red items you're seeing represent the sidewalks and some fences that will need to be kind of modified in order to complete the construction. And you can see how little disruption would actually occur on the campus. Jason will elaborate a little bit more on the logistics plan to make sure that the students are completely safe during construction. One thing I forgot to mention was that the floor plan was modeled after Building 6 of the original campus. It's a modified reuse, single-story, 25,000 square foot building. This is taking a glimpse into the future as to what it would look like once constructed. The red in the upper right-hand corner represents the building footprint. The pink shows some sidewalks that are going to be provided at the front and the back of the building for circulation purposes. And you'll notice down the corridor of the outdoor courtyard, there's kind of a pink strip there. It was brought to our attention that they're experiencing a little bit of kind of overflow as they're going to and from all the other buildings during campus right now. And in order to not compound the problem, we're addressing it now by widening that concrete strip. Again, minimal impact can be done over summer when no students are present. Here's some exterior renderings to just show what the building's going to look like. Again, it's a single-story version of Building 6, so it's shorter in volume, but you can see in the upper right-hand corner some clear delineation that it's a classroom building, building number 8. Those are the double doors that the students will enter off of the courtyard. And then the east elevation on the bottom just shows what will be facing the student parking area. The north and south sides of the buildings are comprised of punched openings to let tons of natural light dump into the classrooms that are around the perimeter of the building, which you'll see on the next slide. And the brick pattern just ties it to the rest of the campus to make sure that it looks like it was intended from day one. Here's your floor plan. Again, you can see around the perimeter of the building are all the classroom spaces. Inside the center of the building, you have the resource rooms, the teacher planning, the mechanical electrical rooms, the group restrooms, and compliments to Williams Company, our CM partner here. During the GM process, we were able to get some excellent pricing that provided the opportunity to address another need of the campus and a request of the instructional division of the district to provide some engineering labs on the site itself. So those 2 classrooms to the furthest west of the plan on the left-hand side, those are now going to be converted to engineering labs to accommodate that need. Here's a view of the interior shot when you walk into those doors off of the courtyard, kind of looking down the corridor. You can see that blue accent to represent the school blue that Parish is so proud of, and the entries into each of the respective classrooms. On the left-hand side, that's the entry into the engineering lab. On the right-hand side is an entry into one of the standard classrooms. Here's a view of what that standard classroom would look like. Again, you got punched openings in the window on the back wall there, teaching wall at the front of the classroom, VCT to align with the finishes of the existing campus, and suspended acoustical ceiling tiles to help mitigate sound impacts. And with that, I will turn it over to Jason.
Good morning. My name is Jason Cruz. I'm with Williams Company. So some of the key aspects as it relates to the project schedule, of course, the board approval of the GMP, but we'll still be waiting on the county site plan review. That's to start in March and hopefully be finished sometime mid-April. Mid-April actually would be the then start of the construction project. And we're looking at roughly a 12 to 13 month project. So we'd be finished sometime around the beginning of March of 2025, which then would allow Parish Community High School then to move in during the spring break period. As it relates to the cost, the original pre-construction was around $45,000. The early procurement, which we kind of mentioned earlier, was 1.6, and that's where it allowed us to purchase some of the mechanical pieces that Aaron was referring to, such as like the air handler, the electrical equipment, and the brick. We went out to bid right before the holidays in December, and all the bids came in, and when we leveled them out, we came in for a base construction GMP of $8.7 million. And then referring back to the engineering labs that Aaron had mentioned, we were carrying an allowance of $250,000, which puts the total GMP at $10,592,738. Site logistics. So as you can see on the site logistic plan will be the area in red, will be where the contractors, we actually put up the fencing, and that'll be our staging area, our parking for our contractors. And then we'll have a fence that will go all around the new construction of Building 8, which is just north of Building 7, and to the east, I believe, of Building 9 there. The routes will actually come in the original route that the parents come in for their drop-off. We'll have scheduled times for deliveries so that we're not interfering with the school flow of parents dropping off their kids or actually picking up their kids after school. And any questions?
Messenger?
I just wanted to thank everybody, and I remember walking through the school with the principal who is here. Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw, for being here. and the superintendent, and one of the comments was about the labs. So I really appreciate that they've been added in. It made sense to do it now, so I'm just happy to see it there. Thank you for getting that in there, so thank you.
I'd like to maybe add to that. I mean, it's really, this team allowed us to do it. The labs weren't originally in the project because we were very concerned about the budget. We had a $15 million budget for this. And I mean, the fact that it was a pretty aggressive group, pretty aggressive bidding process that Williams went through and did a job and gave us the opportunity to bring those engineering labs back. But we're happy about it too, and I know the school is.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that. Like, you know, I mean, we want to make sure that it fits the needs of the school. So I just greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
And Mrs. Messenger, that's exactly why Mr. Jensen and I and board members need to be walking schools with principals, so we're getting that feedback directly and we're making sure that we're not missing anything. So thank you.
Mrs. Spray?
Good morning. First, how many stations are we actually adding? Do you know?
400 student stations.
400? Okay. That's a lot, $26,481.84 per student for this building. I just wanted to see how much that it costs. How many, are there any two-story buildings out there? I've not been, yeah. Is there a reason why we don't do 2 stories when we're doing additions like this at high schools?
Well, we had a building pad in a location that was adequate to do a single story. When you do the 2-story, then you're dealing with the elevators, you're dealing with an enhancement of the structure for that second floor. And so if we can, and all we could add here was the 400 student stations, so it made it ideal for a single story. We did run a couple scenarios with a smaller footprint 2-story, but economically it made sense to go to single story on this one.
So when we plan or project, I'll say, we're gonna have to add to the school because of the growth. We did the electrical, we did the plumbing, I'm guessing, and then we poured the concrete in anticipation of building this addition. So do we ever think about, like you said, economically? Because to me, I'm like, okay, there's no way we could ever add an addition to any of our schools, a second floor, is what I'm saying. So we don't look at it, I mean, elevators, you're saying? Okay, I'm just curious, do we ever look at that?
Well, I mean, to add a second floor to an existing single-story building, is that what?
Well, I guess because I went to Lakewood Ranch High, and they have a new addition.
Right.
And it has 2 levels. Okay, so I'm guessing we poured the concrete and did all of the pre-work in anticipation of doing a 2-story there, or was it just
No, that's all brand
a
new.
whole brand new? We went from
science-
slab up.
The science building in the back is brand new from slab
up.
And we were very restricted.
Grass up, okay.
We're very restricted in size, building that we could put there, so that's why we defaulted to the 2-story the same way we did at Southeast High School, where it's very compact campus at Southeast, so we did, their science wing is a 2-story wing as well, so.
Okay, all right, well, that makes sense then. All right, that was basically all I wanted to know, is like, okay, because of the Lakewood Ranch site, it's a 2-story on their addition, but we're doing a single here.
Same size growth now.
Right, because of land availability. Okay, I gotcha. That's all I had, thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for the when I was looking at the renderings, was the flow of how do we get, you know, because obviously you're crossing a street to the building where the flows of the traffic and that sort of thing. So I appreciate that part.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brings us to item number 10, consent items. Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the consent agenda for February 13th, 2024.
So moved.
I'll second.
I'm just trying to get back to my agenda. Okay.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items.
Foreman votes yes.
And we got one vote in, so I think we're ready to go for.
I don't have this. There it is.
And that's is approved 5-0 with Ms. Foreman with her yes vote. Moving on to item number 13, new business. The approval of the budget amendments for December 2023. Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the budget amendments for December 2023.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and I know Ms. Sellers is ready to present those amendments. So floor is yours.
Good morning,
Vote yes.
Chair Choate and board members. So the December amendments included 3 chart strings that were over 1 million. 2 were related to the capital fund. This was for transferring 1.5 million related to the Palmasola renovation from the construction activity to the design activity. And then 1 more in the food service, which was to recognize 1.1 million received as additional revenue for the supply chain assistant program. Thank you. Questions?
Let me get back to that. No, I don't see any board members lit up to speak. So thank you very much for those. So we have a motion. We have a second for the approval of the amendments, budget amendments for December 2023. Ms. Foreman was a yes. And that passes 5-0. Item number 2 under new business, Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the revision of job descriptions in the Information Technology Department as attached to the item.
So moved.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. And Dr. Weissong, if you just want to explain the revisions of the job description.
Thank you, Chairman. So as part of our routine review of existing job descriptions with budgeted personnel in them, Mr. Hansen, our Chief Technology Officer, has brought routine updates for 14 job descriptions within his department. Again, there's no financial impact to these changes because these are existing job descriptions with people already in budgeted positions. So this is just an update regarding who supervises the position, which positions report to these positions, and then specific job duties. And board members, I think this is the first package that you'll see of several others that will come later this spring as department heads update their job descriptions.
I don't see anyone lit up to speak on that, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the revisions of job description in the Information Technology Department.
Yes.
Ms. Foreman was a yes, and that passes 5-0. Item number 3, Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the K-12 Social Studies Instructional Materials Adoption Committee recommendations for the 2024-25 school year.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and Dr. Weissong, that was obviously what was presented today earlier, so I don't know if you have anything else to add to it.
Yes, sir, it was. I just would like to thank Mrs. Fleming for her leadership of this process. By all accounts, from both educators and parents who served on the committee, the process was very smooth and a lot of thought went into the selections. And social studies went so well that we decided to take care of science later this spring. And so Ms. Fleming will be back soon working through all of that. But I appreciate the work of every educator and parent who contributed to the process.
Thank you. I don't see any board members lit up to speak about this item, so let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the K through 12 social studies instructional materials adoption committee recommendations for the 24-25 school year.
I vote yes.
And that passes 5-0. That concludes the new business non-consent items. Item number 15, informational only, some year-to-date financial statements, also the charter school financial statements, as well as our ESSER report, quarterly ESSER report for the period ending December 31st, 2023. So that moves us to item number 17, updates, instructional update, Mr. Jensen.
Thank you, sir. Just a few quick instruction updates. First, today at the Bradenton Convention Center, we have the VEX District Robotics Tournament underway as we speak. We have 600 elementary and middle school students, lots of staff, parents, and volunteers all assembling for the high energy engineering challenge going on today. So I'd encourage anyone who has some time between 9 and 4 today to stop by for an amazing student competition and celebration of STEM. We also have recognition, as you know, on February 3rd at Manatee Technical College, we had our STEM fair where students across the district showcased their research projects they've been working on during the school year. And the award ceremony for that STEM fair will be held at Braden River High School on Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m. So we'll get to recognize our wonderful student scientists there. Speaking of our next adoption committee process, as we shared last meeting, we're convening those review committees for the purpose of recommending science materials for adoption. The first committee meeting will be open to the public and held at the PSC on February 22nd at 8:30 a.m. And finally, I want to thank Ms. Nikki Cox and our ESE team for coordinating our ESE agency fair on Thursday, February 8th at MTC. More than 150 people attended to connect with 34 vendors, participate in breakout sessions, and dinner was served as well. So thanks to that team.
Thank you very much. I don't see any board members with any questions, so thank you. Mr. Rinaldi, operations.
Good morning again. Quick operation update, human resources. We have a transportation-only job fair, which will be held at the Maskey Center on February 14th, so that's tomorrow. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's at the transportation compound this time. Our next para and operational job fair is scheduled for February 22nd at Wakeland from 2 p.m. through 5 p.m. And our large teacher and para job fair is coming up. It's scheduled for Saturday, March 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and it's being held at Manatee Technical College at the main campus. So we have a number of job fairs coming up. Want to recognize some milestones for information technology. They've completed some major projects recently. Network Support Services has recently completed the E-Rate network infrastructure upgrades at Bradenton River High School, Manatee High School, and Lakewood Ranch High School. So those are network upgrades at all three of those large high schools. Network Support Services has recently completed the E-Rate cabling, so that's new cabling at Lakewood Ranch High School as well. And the Lakewood Ranch projects were done in correspondence with the new science building that we put out there. So we were able to get those, and Scott Hansen was able to get those scheduled for that campus. Site Support Services, they recently completed the installation of 78 interactive digital displays at Bayshore High School, and they upgraded the audio systems in the Bayshore High School gymnasium as well. And finally, from a support and training standpoint, information technology has trained 125 staff members on creating accessible documents for posting on our school website, which is critical for us to remain ADA compliant. Then finally, they trained over 100 plus instructional staff on the new interactive display technologies that we're installing on the campuses as well. So that's a little bit of information technology's effort over the year. Thank you.
Any legal update?
Nothing today.
Nothing today. That's
No
good.
chatter over there, huh?
That's a good thing. No legal update. That's a good thing. Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman and board members. First, I want to express my appreciation for your support of the consent agenda. There were 21 items on today's agenda that the board approved that allows the staff to continue the routine business of the district. A couple of highlights. There was another $2.75 million in grant funding that the team has applied for that you approved for us to proceed with today. There were several construction items, of course, highlighted by your approval of the parish GMP, which lets us get going on that much-needed addition. I also want to highlight a couple of things from the human resources agenda item. We have some administrative movements taking place effective on Tuesday, February 20th. First, as previously announced but formally approved today, Mr. Willie Clark, who has served the district for the last 6 years in the role of Executive Director of Secondary Education, will be moving over to serve as Executive Director for School Support Services. That means that he will provide leadership to our operations teams, including transportation, construction, facilities, custodial, dining services, and others. Mr. Clark will be working daily out of our Matsky complex so that we have an executive leader on site there every day, making sure that our entire focus is serving our schools and their principals. So we're excited for Mr. Clark to take his next leadership step in his career. Replacing him, you approved my recommendation to promote Sharon Scarborough, the principal at Manatee High School, to Executive Director for Secondary Education. So in that role, Ms. Scarborough will oversee the bulk of our middle and high schools. The rest are supervised by other executive directors. And so Ms. Scarborough will join us on Tuesday the 20th so that she's here for staffing and budget decisions that affect the middle and high schools next year. And then taking over for Ms. Scarborough on an interim basis at Manatee High will be Mr. Shane Hall, longtime assistant principal there, and Ms. Scarborough's trusted designee when she is away. And so Mr. Hall's interim principal appointment is effective for the remainder of the school year. Finally, one additional administrative promotion. Mr. Reggie Goff was approved today as our new Assistant Director for Construction Services. Mr. Goff, a longtime project director in the department, and this will be the next step in his career. Our Construction Services department certainly has a very heavy workload in front of it as we work to get all of these projects done and 2 more schools open by August of 25. And we know that Mr. Goff's leadership will help to make sure that all of that gets done. So, board members, thank you for approving that promotion. I also want to acknowledge that today's HR agenda included your approval of the separation of 3 employees from our organization. And we obviously take every allegation of misconduct by an employee very seriously. We have well-documented procedures that are implemented immediately, and of course we fully cooperate when law enforcement is involved in investigations, and then when they're done, we work through our process to hold employees accountable when either law, policy, or our very high expectations for health, safety, and welfare of students are violated. And so some of those actions took place on today's agenda. And of course, there was some media coverage of this last week, and I think we all know that these are isolated incidents that in no way represent the incredible work done by the employees in this organization every day to take care of our kids and educate them and give them opportunities. Nevertheless, when these things happen, we deal with them, we support students, and then we move on. And although there was some bad news last week, there's a tremendous amount of good news happening in this district. And so I want to just highlight a couple of those. We had a fabulous STEM Expo on Saturday, February 3rd, with many of our elementary, middle, and high school students displaying the results of their inquiry projects. Just awesome, especially to see so many elementary students identifying problems that they see in the world and taking the first bite at the apple at solving or resolving some of their curiosities. And so that was a great day. And thank you, as always, to Mr. Wagner and MTC for hosting all of these great district events. Mr. Jensen already mentioned the VEX Robotics Tournament. And so we're going to, I think we're going to head out over there as soon as this meeting adjourns. And I'm looking forward to seeing our students at their best problem solving. We have a tremendous week coming up in athletics. We have high school basketball and soccer regional tournaments this week, and our high schools and their teams are just doing a great job. And so, at the risk of missing somebody, I'll just highlight in girls basketball, Parish Community was the winner, the district champion in their district, and they now advance to the regional quarterfinals. Palmetto High also made the regional quarters in girls basketball, and those are Valentine's Day games. Boys basketball, Braden River High won their district tournament, and so they now advance to the regional quarterfinals along with Bayshore, and they play later this week. In girls soccer, Parish Community was the district champion in their district. And today, later today, we have 3 high schools that qualified for the regional. Braden River and Parish will square off with the winner continuing in the tournament, and then Lakewood Ranch also on the road as part of a regional quarterfinal. And then finally in boys soccer, Parish Community winning their district title as well, and we have Parish, Braden River, and Palmetto all qualifying for the regional tournament. So very, very exciting week for our high school athletes, and congratulations and good luck to all of those teams. In the arts world, we had the Minnesota Honor Choir, which is 4 districts coming together. Manatee both was the host and provided the leadership for that event, which was the evening of February 3rd. Awesome to see so many of our students participating in that choral performance. And then, of course, board members, thanks to all of you for joining me and the rest of the leadership team at the Excellence in Education Awards last week. I won't talk about that because I know that a couple of you probably would like to make some remarks. I will just simply thank Deb Perry Gambino and her team in communications for a really outstanding program. Additionally, I'm continuing my visits to schools and walks with principals around campus since our last meeting, visiting Bayshore, Harley, Blackburn, Tillman, Manatee Elementary, and Johnson K-8. Again, I learn a lot from all of those districts, and thank you, board members, for tagging along to those as your schedules permit. So it's a busy time, but a really good week for our school district. And again, thank you to all the educators, because we can't do any of these academics, arts, or athletics extra events without your dedication and commitment. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Moves us to our board comments. Messenger, Ms. Messenger, Mr. Tatum, Ms. Foreman, Ms. Bray, and myself. So, Ms. Messenger.
I think the only thing I wanted to talk about was the Excellence in Education Awards and how wonderful the event was. I'm so glad that we all got to go, and I know last year there was, I think, some of their conflicts and not everyone got to go, so I really love that the whole board was there. I think that speaks volumes, so I really appreciated that. I really wanted to take time just to congratulate all the finalists and especially the winners. And I know that it really took a tremendous amount of work, kind of like what you had alluded to with Ms. Gambino. But the amount of work to get something like that done, that event done, is just tremendous. And I just want to thank everyone for working so hard to do that. And it was it was it's always nice. It's always a wonderful event, but it was really special. So I really appreciated that. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tatum?
Good morning. I too wanted to highlight the Excellence in Education event. It was like military clockwork, just like I like to see. It was very well done, very impressive event. So my safety topic for today is I was with the sheriff last week, and he was talking about crime and safety, and he mentioned that recently within the last year or so, they've recovered dozens of guns that have been used in crimes, and people are actually leaving them in their cars open at night. And so he really wanted us to emphasize the fact that a lot of the gun crime that actually is happening in our county is due to the fact that people are actually leaving their guns in their unlocked cars outside at night. So just something to think about. We can all do a little bit better, and the more that word gets out, the less crime I think there'll be in the community, so that will help us all. On a more positive note, I was at the MTC East open house. I think that also was last week, and they were bursting at the seams there. I couldn't hardly find a parking space. I had to kind of drive behind the building and park on the grass, and so that was a good thing because there were lots of people there. And I walked into the small auditorium they have there, and there were all these people sitting there with computers, and I thought, well, there must be a class going on here, but actually what was happening is people were using those computers to sign up for classes at MTC right there during the event. So that was encouraging to see. And then actually last night I was at Lakewood Ranch High School, and they had a very well attended event. There must have been, their whole auditorium was full, 500, 600 people for their dual enrollment. They had a dual enrollment informational seminar, and that was really impressive. MTC was there, USF was there, and SCF was there. And so we really do have a lot of opportunities for accelerated academics in those areas, to include MTC for people that would like to get started early on their technical and vocational careers. And finally, I did want to acknowledge the public commenter who mentioned transportation. Everyone in this district is working hard on that problem, but I would encourage us all to keep on thinking about those ideas and accelerating the processes, because it is something that we need to do better on. And those are all the comments that I have today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is Ms. Foreman still on?
I am. I'm headed outside into the cold so I can talk. I don't want you guys thinking that just because I'm not there, you're having a short meeting, but
that is interesting, isn't it?
I am aware of that. I too, the Excellence in Education evening was just spectacular. I think that was one of the best that I've attended. It was absolutely beautiful. The food was excellent. I really appreciated the Manatee High students catering, and they're being recognized during the event. I thought that was really that was cool. And I also want to point out that, well, congratulations to all the finalists. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment. But I especially want to congratulate the winners, both of them from District 3 schools. But I wasn't going to say that, but I did. I also attended the STEM event when the middle schoolers were presenting, and we are in such good shape and accomplishing so much in our STEM initiatives. I was just amazed at their toys, their projects. These are not your typical science projects that my kids ever did. These are really excellent. And congratulations and thank you to our teachers in the sciences who are working with them. And finally, this last weekend, 2 of our schools were represented at the regional debate event and or district event in Lakewood Ranch and Southeast High School. And our debate coach, Kathy Strait from Southeast High School, was awarded Debate Coach of the Year. Fabulous. The students performed very well, and several of them have qualified to go to nationals. So my I congratulate you all on that. We really shine for such a small presence in the debate community. So, and I'm coming back with some interesting things from the conference. A lot of the school districts are here from around the country, but also the federal government is represented here, and they offer an awful lot in cybersecurity to the K-12 arena, and so I'm really enjoying it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Foreman. Ms. Spray?
Oh, goodness. First of all, I want to recognize the staff that has retired. We have one from a custodian that's been with the district for 36.16 years. Security and reception specialist for 35 years. And there's others, you know, everyone that goes through our district and leave, you know, 9 years, a fourth grade teacher, almost 10, you know, 16 years for health aide at Manatee L. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that doesn't get the spotlight a lot, like the awards. That award event was spectacular. I put that, my husband said, what was it? I said, it's kind of like the Oscars for our education system. And it was very well orchestrated, and it was my first time there last year. We did have a conflict and we were out of town. So I was very impressed with the students at the school. They were like proud to host, wearing their shirts of Manatee High Pride. So also, I've been going to tennis courts just out of the whim. If I'm there, I'm going to stop by and observe your practice. It's just, when you step out on a court, I went to Manatee High's practice at King. When you go out there, it's just like all the memories of coaching days just flood in, and you're able to give a little pointers and help, and it was very well received. And then I went to Braden River yesterday, and there's a different approach of how they coach from what the other one does, but it's all different techniques, and as long as they achieve the goal. So they're playing, the girls are playing Booker today, so I'll give them a little boost to get out there and do their thing. And two, the transportation commenter. Mr. Tatum has made that well known that we need to fix that. Doing the math in 20 minutes a day, all the way up to, I mean, if you times that during their, I don't know what level that student was in, but if you times that over the years that we have that student, that's a lot of time that we're losing. And touring the schools with the superintendent, I could see there's a few gaps there that we're losing. So it's just not in the transportation, it's also in the classroom, and working on the efficiency, whether it's a bus or a transition from one lesson plan to the other. It needs to be a very smooth process. And I just feel bad for the students that come in late. I can just imagine what that feels like, coming in after the lesson plan has started. I also, I went to the Soarin' for as well on last Wednesday. Gosh, what a great program that is. There was so many different things for these kids to pick up and learn, and I mean, it's like I couldn't absorb it all. I mean, kids were just everywhere. I was very impressed. It's my first time, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And then they had the CFOC meeting on the 7th, I think it was. Yeah, on the 7th. They are working diligently to get their annual report together. They are requesting data from both HR and from the finance department. They're also working on getting a jump start, you might say, for their quarterlies. So they are requesting data to work forward, so they're not trying to play catch up, that they're actually looking at data. I think it actually says in the charter that they do a quarterly report. So they're working on that as well. I think I did give them a binder with, in a red book. It has a red book from the state. It has the charter. It has all the information they need. I mean, we have some new members on that committee, and just having them come in for a meeting every other month is, to me, is ineffective. If you give them the materials to read and review, then they come in more educated on what their role is on that committee. So they were very thankful to get the binder, and I encourage anyone that wants to get involved to sign in to be a member of that committee. I have another binder just ready for you. So that was really nice. And I don't know, there is a member of our directors that I just want to say, everyone keep them in our prayers. I'm not going to go into detail because it's a, private, but I am saying prayers for one of our members. And that's about all I have. Looking forward to maybe getting over to that competition over at the convention center.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody that prepared the meeting and got the meeting together. Staff, I know there's a lot that goes into each board member or each board meeting, getting the consent items, and really that's how we move the district are those things. So I want to thank the staff. A couple things that went to last week, obviously the excellence in the awards for education. That was awesome. I couldn't go last year, went the year before, but really exciting event. And I love that Dr. Weissong didn't even know who won, and didn't, because I was wondering how many people do know, because you just don't want to spoil that, have that somewhere, somehow get out in the conversation, because And I want to say thank you to the MC, Mr. Chapman, and he looked dapper as ever, and still hasn't shown me where he got his loafers, so I'm still waiting on where the loafers came from. But no, it was a great event for all the finalists. Just to become a finalist, I think, is phenomenal. And then the winners, there's a trip for two to Hawaii, I think it was, given to Miss Bagley, the winner for teachers, and hopefully, I think, what was it, 2 years ago, we had a teacher move on to the finalists for the state, and so that's exciting. We'll see how Miss Bagley can if she can move forward. Reed went to with the City of Bradenton collaboration between the district and the City of Bradenton Reed. If you go downtown through all some of the light posts and things like that throughout downtown, we have partnered with the City of Bradenton, and in a collaboration that I think when we have multiple government agencies collaborate like this, everybody is a winner. And so we have some student arts and some different things on that. On those signs that are in the City of Bradenton, QR code that goes into some reading stuff, and so it's really phenomenal that we can partner together with other local agencies or other government agencies and push education in our community. And so I want to thank the city for that. I also want to thank the staff so last week my daughter came home with picking out next year's schedule and classes, and if you've never really been a part of that as a parent, it could be somewhat, especially with a 16-year-old girl, soon to be 17-year-old girl, and so it can be a little tough just picking out what you want and that sort of thing. And so I say thank you to the staff, because our high schools have several hundred, couple thousand kids at them, and then you've got to create a master schedule. And as a teacher, I've seen it on a whiteboard. I've never been a part of the process, but I was telling Mr. Hall when I saw him last week, he was the one when I was at Manatee doing it, and it's a daunting task to think about putting 2,000, 2,300, 1,400, 1,500 kids, whatever it is, and then even to our middle schools and things like that. So thank you very much for that. And then dealing with dual enrollment and having to have all those components in place. I want to thank you to our staff for that. Lastly, I will say that the Super Bowl from Sunday on the Kansas City Chiefs, you had one Manatee County graduate from Lakewood Ranch. Austin Reeder was he was on the practice squad for the Chiefs. Actually, when I first started coaching, we played against him and coached against him when I was at Braden River. And a heck of a player, went to USF. Been in the league now 8-9 years. I think this is his second Super Bowl with the Chiefs. So pretty cool that we've got Super Bowl winner, right here in Manatee County. And actually another student down from Sarasota, from Riverview, Richie James was there as well. But yeah, so pretty cool. Manatee County graduate, Super Bowl winner now. So that's all I have. I know Friday, look forward to our meeting Friday, Shade meeting. I believe it's in 203, if I'm correct on that, at noon.
Yes.
So we'll see everybody there. Thanks again for a great meeting. Have a great week. And we are adjourned.
So, who's going to... Who's going to point out Mary?